All right, everyone. Hello. Good to see you all. Hopefully, this looks good. Keep in mind, not everything here is 100% finished. So, I moved a couple days ago, and I'm in this new apartment, and I have been rushing like crazy to try to get everything ready for this tea time, because I can't do another tea time for another week, almost, it seems. So it's either today or never. And so I was rushing to get everything here and completed. I have nowhere to put my sandwiches. Put that right behind me. There we go. And I'll get to your guys' comments using my phone. So let's see. I didn't even get to charge my phone, so my phone doesn't have enough battery really to do anything. But let's see, I should probably move this way further. Alright, so everything looks good. I just got to turn down this. This light is far too red. There. That might look better. So, I want to see your guys' reaction when I turned on the stream. Let's see. Hold on, I'm going to go back several, I'm going to go back several comments just to check and see what people said. Pookie Smoochie says, I like this setup. Thank you. Let's see. What's this? Okay, I can't answer everyone's questions because unlike my previous setup where I had water boiling at whatever moment I wanted, I had to boil the water in my kitchen and bring it all the way over here. So I have to like get started with the tea. So I can't answer anyone's questions that they put prior to this moment. But it looks like people like the new setup, so that's good. Let me just put that there for now. And then I'll kind of explain what's going on. Okay, so I'm going to preheat the teapot and teacup. Can everybody hear me all right, by the way? Because I know when I turn away, you won't be able to hear me as well. But can you hear me right now that I'm talking to the camera? That's good enough. Yes, I've heard of Gordon Lightfoot passing. It is pretty sad news. Okay. That's good. Okay, everybody says they can hear me. That's good. There will be like a little table in front of me in the future. I'm waiting for it to arrive. There's several decorations and things that I was going to have going, but they have not arrived yet, so I'm just waiting for them. But one of the things is a little table, so I don't have to turn around every time I need to get something. Okay, this... You know, this little corner looks bigger from a few feet away, but now that I'm actually sitting in it, I feel very cramped. Okay, so the teapot, teacup are just preheating for just a second. Today we're having Earl Grey tea. I've also got some McVitie's chocolate tea biscuits, and then right behind me, like where you can't see, I have cucumber tea sandwiches, and I'll reach for those in a second. Alright, so everyone says they can hear me fine. That's good. Um, Derpy says, what's your opinion on 2013 film Saving Mr. Banks? I thought the Saving Mr. Banks film was really awesome. And in fact, I accidentally walked onto set one day. It was filming at a time when I was still working as a cast member at Disneyland. And I was coming into work, doing my normal thing, about to cross Main Street, and I realized I walked right into the film set, which was pretty funny. They weren't filming at that very moment, but I did see Tom Hanks down Main Street further, and I did a double take because I didn't know they were filming this movie there. It just, one day there was a film set in the park, and I looked down Main Street, and I looked, and I'm like, is that Walt Disney? I was like, who is, and then I realized, I'm like, they're doing something about Walt Disney. And I learned later that day it was about the movie Saving Mr. Banks. And so I loved that movie. I ended up buying it. I have it on Blu-ray to this day. I love watching it. It's a great movie. See, Ozzy, weather today is a little on the warm side. It's 70 degrees Fahrenheit. There is some kind of overcast, but it's almost like the kind of overcast you get on a really warm, humid day, if that makes any sense. Let's see. Hey Kevin, I have received them. I just haven't been able to respond. It's only been basically today where I've been able to get everything set up, and I mean, it's been absolute chaos for the past 2 weeks just preparing to move and get everything together. So I have received your emails. I have not read them yet. So I just haven't had the time. Even right now, I was racing to the last second to get everything set up, get everything unpacked to make onto this live stream setup. Okay, I'm gonna try to answer a question while I get the teapot filled with boiling water. Let's see. Doc says, how is the new place? I've been dating a pilot and he loved your Spruce Goose video. Awesome. Also this weekend we go ride tiny trains again. Nice. So the new place is really nice. It's a very big apartment. My dad lives with me and he has his own room with a patio and all that. And then we both have an office that we share, where when I do live streams or videos about my train set and all that, that'll take place in the office. The tea time streams will be here in my bedroom. So let me just put hot boiling water into the teapot. Yeah, I can't wait till the little TV trays arrive, because I just spilled water all over this wooden tea tray I have, and it's just not meant to be wet like that. Okay. That there, put the tea in the teapot. It's 4:18 right now, so it should be ready. It's 4:19, so we'll just say 4:18. So 4:23 is when it will be ready. Yes, so yeah. Oh, Chris, I'm so sorry to hear that you've been so sick, but I hope you start feeling better soon. Hello, Alex, Seaside of Bulgaria. I have received the email. I have not been able to read it. or watch the footage. You know, people send me like dozens of emails every single day, and I'm sorry, during the move I haven't been able to check all of them. I haven't been able to read all of them. It's just been so hectic, and I only barely got my internet running the other day, so, and you know, my computer was only set up like 2 days ago, so it's just been like really, really hectic. We've been receiving new furniture every day. We've had to put that together. My dad was putting together a TV stand just now while I was getting ready for tea time. There are boxes everywhere. You can't see them because they're behind the camera, but there are boxes everywhere. Like, I have got so much unpacking to do, and you know, so we've already been here for a couple of days, and boy, it's just been really hectic. So I apologize to everybody who sent me emails. I have not been able to read them in the last couple of days. Let's see. So one of the things that there will be is, you guys see this this photo slideshow. That's going to be replaced with footage of the various Cunard liners, either sailing or inside the ships. So whatever footage that I have in my stockpile of footage, I'm going to edit it together into a looping video. Hopefully at least the video will be an hour long and it will just loop. But yeah, it will be looping footage of the ocean liners and people on them and the interiors and stuff like that. So that's what will replace this slideshow. Let's see. Better for the people because without the pit, all the wind will blow on their face. I don't think people will be sitting outside Queen Mary's observation bar anymore. Now that they've removed the plexiglass, they couldn't possibly set tables up there because sometimes it gets so windy it would just blow the tables and chairs around. So I don't think they'll be setting up tables and chairs outside. Alex says, is it a shame that Olympic didn't get preserved alongside the Queen Mary? I mean, it's a shame that we lost any liners, to be totally honest, but that I accept it as a fact of life. I mean, maybe I'm different about that, but I think of it as just a fact of life. Ocean liners, they outlast their purpose, they get old, and the most likely thing to ever happen to any of them is getting scrapped. So losing the Olympic isn't like some kind of huge gaping hole in my heart or my soul. It's just like, man, that sucks, but that's what happens to ocean liners. You know, one day the Queen Mary will be scrapped. One day. Hopefully not anytime soon. I doubt it's anytime soon because of all the preservation work that's been going on. But one day, maybe, you know, in 20, 30, 50, 60, 70 years, the ship may be scrapped, you know. So it's just as one author put it, the inevitable end to a ship. So yeah, the inevitable end. Daniel, yeah, I've heard of the Kiwatin being moved as well. On the R&B Oceanic, and well, it's time for tea. Sir Canister, about your question about the Oceanic. I don't know anything about that Oceanic, so I really can't answer that question. Let me just get the tea going. empty this out. I just like 1.5 little demi-tasse spoons of sugar. As this live stream is somewhat experimental, you know, I'm looking at the flaws with the live stream where there might need to be more light or anything like that, and I will be making the adjustments necessary in the future live streams, especially the sound, because the microphone is a lot further away from me than it was before. And I have to figure out how I'm going to get the microphone closer to me. I might need to buy a tripod. I might need to... I mean, I've already got 3 tripods in front of me right now. So, you know, little adjustments and things will be made to make the stream a bit more... just run smoother. Sorry. Saliva went down the wrong pipe. All right. Cheers. That's delicious. I love Earl Grey. All right. So, Derpy says, that's a nice looking shelf to the left there. Yes, so this shelf was made by my other friend, Steve R. And it was actually, it's kind of a funny story about this shelf. This was like when I first became kind of a Queen Mary fan. And I started getting a few like collectible things that I wanted to show off. And I thought, you know, I need like a shelf to put this stuff on. And so I talked to my friend Steve and I was like, could you make me like a shelf? He goes, yeah, just like show me what you want. So I basically designed this shelf, like drew it all out on computer, and I sent it to him in like a kind of a 3-dimensional blueprint kinda. And he looked at it and he's like, okay, I can build that. I'm like, awesome, you know. So he built it and, you know, had it laser cut and everything to give it the special Art Deco designs it has on it. And it was actually kind of funny because like almost a year later, Steve Oblonsi, who's in the chat, saw, I forget where, but he saw the shelf in one of my videos and was like, oh, hey, that's pretty cool that you like designed a shelf to look like the Queen Mary's builder's plaque, the builder's plate. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And he goes, the builder's plate is shaped like that. And I was like, it is? And so I ended up like looking it up, and apparently Queen Mary's builder's plate is shaped just like that. And I had no idea. I just designed that off the top of my head and was like, this is what I want my shelf to look like. And apparently it's the shape of the builder's plaque. So that was kind of a funny story about that little shelf. Mike says, did the train layout survive the move? Surprisingly, yes. There was only one little bit of damage to it. I designed a special teetering rock, right? And the rock is supposed to, it looks like a giant boulder, and it's about to like come crashing down onto the railroad tracks. And that boulder, unfortunately, did not survive. It, while the movers were moving the train layout, it got smashed against the wall, and the boulder just broke right off. So, but it's not a big deal. It can be fixed quite easily, not quickly, but easily. Yeah. Munzer says, I'm sad that the Spruce Goose can't come back to Long Beach. I mean, it is sad when, you know, certain attractions that were in certain places can't return to where they were. But that being said, if you were to see it in McMinnville, Oregon, you'd be like, okay, this is a better place for it, for sure. Because when you go there to the Evergreen Aviation and Space Museum, I mean, and you compare images of it to the dome that was in Long Beach, you're kind of like, this is a better place. This is a better spot to see it. Because you can actually get up on a second-story level on a different part of the museum and look down on the Spruce Goose. Well, not down on it necessarily. You're kind of at level with it because it's so tall. But you can look right at level with it from the second floor. And that's kind of an interesting perspective you couldn't get in Long Beach. So, yeah, it's so cool. And then seeing it in that big building with all the little planes underneath. I say little, but they're big planes. It's just that the Spruce Goose is so much larger that they look like toys in comparison to the Spruce Goose. So, in fact, you can actually kind of see my model of the Spruce Goose here. I should put it somewhere that maybe it's easier to see right there. But yeah, you know, it's so cool. Yeah. Hey Shiloh, how's it going? So this model of the Titanic, you guys have very rarely seen it, really only in certain videos of mine. But I built this model in 2012. Again, I was not really a huge Titanic fan or nerd. I never researched Titanic. Even to this day, I don't really do any efforts to research Titanic. I just stumble across stuff when I think something might be interesting to watch. But with this model, the reason why I built it in 2012 was because that was the 100th anniversary of the Titanic disaster. And I thought, you know, like, I do like the way the ship looks, and I'd like to have a model of the Titanic. So my mother bought me this model kit, and I put it together. It's very beat up. You can't see it from the camera. But it's very, very beat up and in need of major restoration. Major restoration. And it will get that now that I have a special office for building models. So that was one thing that had to wait even while I was living in the studio apartment, because there just wasn't room to work on the train layout and a ship model. So, but this one will get the treatment in the coming months. Alex, I don't know what Class 365 Happy Trains are. Derpy, no, I haven't heard of the Unreal 5 recreation of Normandy. Hey Mark, how's it going? K4RNA. Thank you so much, you guys. You guys are so nice, like, giving me really, really nice words of encouragement. Let's see. Doc says, Alex, when you have a minute, do you have any thoughts / stories or suggestions for coronation viewing? You know I love a good Alex story. I don't even know. I've never seen a coronation before, so this will be my first time seeing it. You know, I don't even think I've ever seen the Queen's coronation in full. I've only seen bits and pieces of it. So, but I know that, you know, on May 6th, I will be watching it. I'll be, you know, puppy sitting my sister's dog, so hopefully the dog will let me watch it. But I do plan to try to watch it on May 6th. But yeah, I have no suggestions or stories. I've never seen anything like it before, so I am really excited to see it though. Um, uh, MS says, your studio looks great. I like the pictures over your left shoulder. Thank you. Yeah, eventually this will be replaced with a loop of footage of old ocean, specifically old Cunard liners. There might even be like some footage of Olympic also in the mix, because Olympic was briefly under the Cunard White Star Line name, so it technically counts as a Cunard liner. So there will be stuff, but if you guys were here at the beginning of the stream, you can probably see behind me, in the very far corner, is a little, what do you call it, like a recreation, I'm sorry, the words escape me, a recreation dinner plate from White Star Line, from Titanic specifically. So that's one of the things I have over my shoulder behind me. So, yeah. I think it's possible in the future I may want to raise the camera up and point it down further, just so you guys can see the posters. But yeah, there will definitely need to be more light. It's very dark. Yeah, sorry, I'm just taking mental notes of the things that need to change for the next live stream. I thought I could get away with just having 2 lights on me and 1 light behind me, but it's gonna take more. It's gonna take more. Let's see. Well, this sounds like a complex question. Alex, what if the Queen Mary was put in Port Everglades instead of the QE? And what if QE was put in Long Beach instead of Queen Mary? I really don't see much of a difference, to be totally honest. Whether the only thing that matters is the fact that neither ship would have done very well in Port Everglades. If you watch my documentary about the Queen Elizabeth, I mentioned that in just 1 year of the Queen Elizabeth being in Port Everglades, the Floridian climate did major damages to the ship, both outside and inside. It was just so humid and so hot, and that humidity and the heat and the weather and the hurricanes, it's very bad for a sitting liner. It's very bad for a ship that's not moving. It's just not a very hospitable environment for a North Atlantic designed ocean liner. So it doesn't really matter whether the Queen Mary or the QE was there. No transatlantic ocean liner would do very well in Florida's climate. It's just not good for ocean liners. So, I don't think there really is much of a difference there. Both ships were so similar, I really doubt that even Queen Mary would have survived there being a year just like the Queen Elizabeth did, deck chairs. Derpy says, do you think the Queen Mary Hotel would ever let people use/rent deck chairs? I don't think so. And the only reason why is not necessarily because it's deck chairs. It's just because it's too expensive for them to buy and maintain deck chairs like that. If they had a pool with deck chairs around it, that's one thing. But even then, most companies, unless they're a really fancy hotel company, they don't invest in wood chairs. They invest in like steel chairs with nylon, whatever, the nylon to sit on. So I don't see it happening simply because it's just really expensive to own and maintain wooden deck chairs. I don't see it happening. Supposed to stay in Long Beach for another 50 to... Moonzer says Queen Mary's supposed to stay in Long Beach for another 50 to 100 years. Yeah, 50 to 100 years, but that's if, like, everything goes according to plan. Stuff rarely goes according to plan. I mean, the Golden Gate Bridge was designed to last 100 years, but it has needed major upgrades since that time it was built. So it's not really 100 years, you know what I'm saying? Like, stuff happens that you can't account for that happens in 100 years of time. So even though they're repairing the Queen Mary for her to last 100 years, most likely scenario is she will need major investments every 10 years just to, you know, to keep things going smoothly, for lack of better terminology. Yeah, Mike, 50 watching. It's, yeah, I don't normally get that many viewers for tea time streams. But keep in mind, everybody watching, this is like an experimental live stream today because I just set up everything behind me. I have to make sure that in the next streams, there's more stuff for you guys to see besides just me. And then the lighting will have to be adjusted for the next live streams. So, yeah, so keep in mind this is just kind of an experimental live stream today. And there's other things, more decorations and things that are arriving soon that I can put on the live stream. Steve says, too many what-if situations to deal with. I agree. People ask me a lot of what-ifs. What if Titanic was still around? What if Queen Mary was actually in Florida? What if, you know, it's a lot of what-ifs. A lot of hypothetical scenarios. I agree, Ron. I hope the Queen will be getting more attention. Alex, again, to answer your question, I don't know what the Class 365 Happy Trains are. I've never heard of that before. I've never heard of the Class 387 train. I'm really not, like, I like steam trains, but I don't know anything about very specific railroads or very specific types of engines besides my favorites. So I really can't get too deep into, like, trains and stuff like that. I like looking at them, I just don't know what I'm looking at sometimes. So, Ken says, Alex, Disneyland question. Do they use special paint for the rails, fences, trash cans, etc.? Seems like it's always pristine and shiny without scratches despite it, all people touching it. It's not special, honestly. What they do is they just repaint them quite frequently. Now the trash cans, they are more beat up than they look. Speaking from experience working with the trash cans, from a distance you wouldn't notice anything really wrong with it. When you get up close, it's like really beat up. You're like, whoa. But the rails and fences and things like that, yeah, all of it is painted with like the same type of paint essentially. It's a special paint designed to stick to metal. It's like a self-priming paint. I think it's what they call it, a self-priming paint. And then it has its own... I don't know the word. They don't need to install a gloss over it. Like usually, like you put like a varnish of some kind to protect it from the weather. It doesn't need that. It's already like in the mixture. And so basically when they paint fences and things like that, it's just like one coat. Honestly, like they sand it down. They sand down the previous layer of paint. They don't fully remove it. They just sand it down. And then to give it a rough texture for the paint to stick to. And then they paint over it. And then once that paint dries, that one layer of paint dries, it's good to go. It's like, it's just good to go. So, and they do that frequently. They'll do that overnight. They'll touch up the park overnight. And sometimes if you're there early in the morning, you'll still see the painters out repainting stuff. And then by the afternoon, all the tape and everything that they had, you know, roping off the area will be moved, and the area can be touched by hand. So it's they do a very good job painting up the park. Paint at Disneyland doesn't last as long as it might look like it does. It probably only, some areas of paint really only last like a week before they need to be touched up again. And a lot of times as cast members, we report when we see like major paint issues and stuff like that. But otherwise, they have special cast members that go around looking for chipping paint that needs to be like reapplied and stuff like that. Steve says, a la mine ride at Disneyland, Alex. I don't know what you're asking, Steve. New better antenna for the radio station. Carter Ashley says, what date are you going to Belfast? I don't know. I really don't know, because I haven't been able to book the trip yet. I still need to save money. So, you know, like I've been telling people, you know, I don't just have the money laying around. We're talking about like $8,000 to $9,000 is what the trip will cost. I do not earn that kind of money. I do okay for myself, but any extra money left over at the end of the month is like a trickle of money. So, so it takes me a long time to save up, and I've also got to pay taxes and stuff like that soon. So, you know, my own personal budget is going to be very tight in the coming months. And so until I have the money that I need for traveling, I can't start booking it. So, yeah, I don't know. Hello, Isaiah. Alex says, do you think your video about the QE is a success? Personally, I think it absolutely. Yes, I think it's a complete success. I mean, it's very rare when one of my ocean liner videos gets 75,000 views. I'm lucky when one of my ocean liner videos gets 50,000. So yeah, I think the Queen Elizabeth video is doing very well, and it doesn't show any signs of slowing down necessarily anytime soon. It might even get what we call a second wind, which is where it does really well and then it kind of like levels out, and then all of a sudden there's a second wind and it gets like, you know, another bump in attendance and in boost. So it is a very successful video. I'm actually very happy that because I worked so hard on that video. That video represents about 3 solid months of just research and finding images and putting it all together and stuff like that. So it took a lot of work to make that video, and it's nice to see when a lot of people are enjoying it, because then you know that you did a really good job, you know. Alex says, what are your thoughts on the Olympics 1933 refurbishment? I don't know. I don't know anything about it. Charlotte says, not sure if I've ever seen the clock you have above the tea service. Where is it from? So the clock has no backstory to it. It's just a clock I purchased because I thought it looked nice and it looked Art Deco, and I thought it would go really well with my tea time live stream. And so I bought it. Yeah, it looks like something that could have been on the Queen Mary, you know, so that's why I bought it. And I just barely put batteries in it the other day, and yeah. Let's see. But it's so it's so dark in the background, which I'll have to fix for the next live stream. But it's so dark in the background, I'll have to add light back there. Yeah. Max says, Alex, I have a question. Have you purchased a copy of On a Sea of Glass? I like 10% of me is interested in buying it. I say that because I'm just not as big a fan of Titanic or Olympic class ships as people think I am. I have a model because I think it looks cool. And I've seen the Titanic 1997 a million times in my life. I could probably recite all the lines word for word. But outside of that, I have really no interest in Olympic class ships or the Titanic. I've played the Titanic game because it's interesting to walk around the Titanic. I mean, even people who aren't interested in Titanic would think the game is really interesting. But outside of that, I have really no interest in Titanic. So only really like 10, maybe 15% of me is actually interested in buying On a Sea of Glass. And so that's the only reason why I haven't purchased it yet. Malibu Company says, how are you, Alex? I'm okay. Just been really busy lately unpacking and, getting settled into the new apartment. Let's see. So yeah, I thought about like the background. You'll see probably next time I do a tea time stream, which will probably be in about a week. I say about a week, but maybe not exactly. Maybe a little bit more than a week. But so what was I gonna say? You'll see that when the new decorations arrive, it'll kind of make this corner of my bedroom look like a room on an ocean liner, I hope, is what it comes off as. And so, what was I going to say? The one thing I was looking at doing was buying wood veneers, like nice wood veneers, and veneering the walls behind me, so that way it looks like I'm on like the Queen Mary or something, right? But first of all, nobody readily sells nice-looking removable wood veneers. I mean removable in the sense that when I need to move out, it won't damage the walls. And so nobody sells that. They sell like cruddy-looking, just cheap wood-looking veneer. It's like walnut and oak. I mean, oak isn't bad. It's just that oak veneers are very 1970s and not very 1930s. So I just didn't do veneer at all because it wouldn't look right. So, but then the paint that's already on the walls is kind of a darker color. It doesn't come off as a wood color on the live stream, but in real life it is kind of like a brown wood color, and I like it. I think it does very well. Let's see. K4RNA says, Alex Historian, I wonder if you could actually live on the Queen Mary, like pay rent. Anybody know? No, you cannot. It's not permitted as a residential property. One of the major things is like it's the same reasons why you can't just move into a Hilton and live there permanently. It's just not designed for permanent living. There are certain laws and things like that for how a hotel must be designed if you're going to have permanent residents on there. And so So yeah, I don't want to get it. It's just too much to explain. So we'll just leave it at that. But it's a lot to explain. I'm gonna have one of my cucumber sandwiches. I have to wait for it to kind of defrost because I freeze them prior to the stream to make them easier to cut into finger sandwiches. But I wait for them to defrost. So let's see. Curly Q says, Alex, I'm currently starting an HO scale layout that is a bit of a blend of British, German, and Japanese styling. Interesting. Nice. Thank you, Ken. I'm going to improve the lighting, though. It's too dark in this corner for me, and I want people to see like what I have on display. It's just a little too dark, but I think I have an easy solution to that. Derpy says, if you could have one piece of furniture from the Olympic, what would it be? A chair, a table, a cabinet, a dresser? To be honest, I can't picture Olympics furniture in my head. I don't know what it looks like that well. But I suppose, in general, if I was to have a piece of furniture from an ocean liner, I think one of the first things I'd want is a chair. Like, for instance, one of the pieces of Queen Mary furniture I actually want two pieces of Queen Mary furniture. I want a chair. I don't care what class it's from. I would accept it and love it no matter what. I would want a chair, and I would want a little table, like a side table, but specifically, I want a really rare table. I want the little tiny, I forget what they call them, they have a special little nickname, but they're a U-shaped side table from the first class main lounge. They're tiny little tables, but they're so cool. I might even, if I have the money, I might even hire my friend to reconstruct one for me, because he does carpentry and stuff, so I might hire him to reconstruct one of those for me, just so that way I could have one. Because I've looked on eBay for them, and on occasion they are available, but they're thousands of dollars. And I'm like, let's be real, Alex, we don't have that kind of money. So, oh, yeah. Daniel says, Alex, just want to say that your Queen Elizabeth video may be the best video you've made of 2023. It is detailed and enjoyable. Hope there's more like that to come. There will be more like that to come. Just, you know, don't expect it to be like very frequently, because that kind of video takes a long time to make. But I am hoping to deliver more of that content to you. And the better my channel does, the more I can deliver that stuff. So I'm really hoping everything goes well. Chilling the Frozen North says, good evening, Alex. Is this your new streaming studio? It looks nice. Yes, it is. Thank you very much. Yeah, I've been working on this background to make it kind of look interesting, and, you know, there's still a few more decorations that will arrive, and it will kind of complete everything. And like I've said a few times, the what do you call them? The slideshow in the corner will be swapped out for a looping video of various Cunard ocean liners sailing, passengers enjoying themselves. It will be all vintage footage. So the idea is it will look as if I'm sitting on maybe like a second class room on the Queen Mary, for instance, and just having tea with you guys. That's the goal here. Michael Reed says, hello, have you made a model of the Titanic? There. I made that in 2012 from a kit. It's a 1/350th scale model. And ever since I've looked for a 1/350th scale model of Queen Mary, but they don't exist. Chilling in the frozen north, I really couldn't tell you about marine grade paints. I don't know anything about them. I just know that they're marine grade. They're designed for ships at sea. See you later, Steve. Thanks for watching. Thank you, Malibu Company. J-Rod says, hey, Alex, does the clock in the corner work? It does, yes. So right now it says, I dropped a piece. It says 5 p.m. and it is indeed 5 p.m. here. So hold on, let me. It's got a magnetic wood backing covering the inner workings. Let's get another sip of tea here. Geshmake says, Alex, wow, your new place looks great. Congratulations on your new home. Thank you so much. Yeah, I basically, everything you see here, I installed this in the 2 hours preceding the live stream, and then barely had time to actually set up the live stream itself. But there will be more stuff to change. This is just an experimental live stream. An experimental live stream to kind of make it look nice, I guess. Yeah. But yeah, I'll be changing up the lighting and everything to make it look brighter. Chilling. I don't know what a zenith transoceanic is. Alex, to answer your question, I believe it was the SS Atlantic. Alex and Seaside of Bulgaria. Yeah, the reason why I've had such good, wins when it comes to videos this past few months is because YouTube recently put out a feature that tells me the age and the demographics of who's watching. I mean, it kind of did that before, but not as detailed as it does now. And so the most important thing when you're a YouTuber is knowing who's watching. Because depending on the demographic, they may want to see certain things, and you might not be delivering that. So up until this point, I thought I was making videos for people my age or younger. And I was making videos that was geared towards that group, but the videos weren't doing very well. And I was trying to figure out why. And it wasn't until this year, or maybe late last year, I think it was late last year, they finally introduced a more detailed feature that told me better demographics of who's watching and why, and what else they watch. And so from there, I found out that my audience is actually older, anywhere from, the major age range is from 45 to 65 or 75. It's just 65 plus. So 45 to 65 plus is the age group, and the majority of my viewers are male. And so knowing that kind of helps me to understand why they're watching and what they want to see, as well as the fact that I can actually see what a lot of videos people are coming from watching. So videos from another channel, I can see what channels people watch, and that gives me an idea of what they want to see. And so knowing that, I have been moving away from creating videos for younger audiences and making videos for the older audiences that are looking for that specific thing. And so being able to make content for those demographics is the reason why the videos are doing better. Because now I actually know who to make videos for. So that was a major plus to the channel, was just YouTube introducing that feature. Pookie Smoochie says, I'm just dying to see your take on the QE2 or Oceanic 1899. Yeah, me too. I think it's possible Oceanic may be the next one that I do. Because QE2, I haven't done enough research on it yet to be able to even start work on a video. But Oceanic I have. And then there's also Mauritania that I've also started work on. So yeah, there will be more history videos to come. And then definitely more topic videos. Stuff about very specific things about the liners. Okay. Chilling in Frozen North, I have looked into veneered plywood, but that takes skill to apply. I'm not skilled in that kind of stuff. What I would need is something that's already like out of the box, ready to go. I stick it to the wall, and it's easily removable when I need to remove it. So, like, it's got to be like literally something I can peel and remove from the wall without it doing any damage. Because if there is paint damage at all to the walls, I will be charged for it. So, that's the problem. So yeah, I could easily find nice looking veneers on Amazon, which I have. Like, my favorite wood veneers are quilted maple and Makassar ebony. Those are my favorite ones. But the thing is I don't have the skill set to apply that veneer to the walls. I need something that's like easy, like out of the box, peel and stick kind of thing, which a nice wood veneer of that doesn't exist. It's only the cheap veneers that exist. I feel like I just read that comment. Pookie Smoochie. Don't worry, you guys. When I say I'm going to adjust the lighting, I don't mean like majorly. I just mean I'm just going to make the background just a little bit brighter so that way the artifacts can be seen better. It's not going to be a major change. It will still look like this, just a little bit brighter on the left and the right. Alex, just to quickly answer your question, because I actually get this question almost every live stream. No, I don't think the Queen Mary should be converted for sailing condition. I think the Queen Mary has earned her retirement. She did a very good job at sea. The thing is the longer a ship stays out at sea, the more likely the end of that ship will be at the bottom of the ocean. So I don't want that to happen to the Queen Mary. I think that she had a great run. She ended on a bang. Literally, I mean, just the most amazing final voyage. And, you know, and the ship earned its retirement. I think it's the ship will be most popular sitting at the dock instead of going out on pleasure cruises or whatever, which the ship really wasn't designed for. So yeah, I think the Queen Mary is just fine being retired. I think that is the best thing for the ship. Chilling in Frozen North, thank you so much. But the model really isn't that beautiful, to be honest. It needs some major changes because it is not accurate at all. The paint-wise, it's not accurate at all. And it's very damaged. You can't see it from here because you need to be up close to see it. But it's extremely damaged. It's just been moved so much over the years and dropped a few times. So, like, the mast is actually broken and it's, like, taped to keep it upright. So it needs a lot of work. It needs a lot of work. Paula says, where's the scones and marmalade? I would love to have scones and marmalade. Problem is you can't buy English scones around here. You have to make them yourself. And the marmalade, I can buy marmalade. That's not so bad. I could make the scones. It's just that there's a lot of prep work that goes into making scones. And to do it just for live streams, I don't know. But it would be nice, you know. It would be nice. But the other thing is you can't just have scones and marmalade. You gotta have the clotted cream. And you can't just buy clotted cream around here. You have to make it yourself. So, I am not prepared to make clotted cream. I don't know if you guys know. Clotted cream can take anywhere from 12 to 18 hours to make. And it's not hard. It just takes a long time. I don't know. It's a lot of work to start preparing the day before a live stream for the live stream the next day. It's a lot of work, but I'm not saying no to it. Every once in a while you will see stuff that I will bake just for the live stream, but I can't promise it'll be every single live stream. It's just a lot of work. But I would love to have scones and marmalade and clotted cream with my tea time. That would make it so awesome. But I do have my cucumber sandwiches. And I also have my McVitie's Tbsps. Paula says, cucumber sandwiches. I made those once. My daughter, who is now in college, adores old liners just like her mom. Oh, that's really cool. Yeah, it's really neat when, like, kids are just like their parents, you know, in certain ways at least. You know, like, I'm a lot like my own father. It's actually kind of funny. We like all the same movies, music, and stuff like that, so pretty funny. Hello, Tyler Olds. Cruising with Matt and Lisa says, hi, Alex. Thanks for all the helpful content. Matt and Lisa in Central Florida. Oh, thanks. That's very nice of you to say. Chris says, have you ever heard of The Proper People? They do urban exploring videos. Absolutely. I watch The Proper People once in a while. I feel like my chat just jumped to the bottom because I'm seeing all these comments above that I didn't see before. Pete and Harley, yeah, it is really, yeah, it's very helpful to have all that information because, you know, otherwise I was making content, you know, blind, just not knowing who's watching exactly. And, you know, I could put out surveys, but only certain demographics of people actually answer the surveys. And so it's like, it doesn't actually work, you know. Carter Asher says, Alex, I have a question. That helicopter shot and 747 taken the photo of the Queen Mary as the SS Poseidon. That's not a question. Pelly says, good evening, Alex. I take it you'll be watching the coronation of His Majesty the King. Though being on Pacific time, you'll have to pull an all-nighter to watch live. So I will be watching the coronation, but I believe the coronation, I don't have to pull an all-nighter because the coronation for you guys happens... I forget what time it happens here, but I remember looking at it earlier today or maybe last night and going, oh, that's a normal time for me to watch. So I don't think I'll have to pull an all-nighter at all. I think I'll be able to watch it because I don't remember what time it happens, but I just remember looking at the time and going, oh, I'm already up at that time. So yeah, I don't think I'll have to pull any strings. But yeah, I'm very excited to watch the coronation of His Majesty the King. So I'm very excited about that. You know, my mom's side of the family, they have a lineage that goes back to the various countries of the UK. Some of our family is from Wales, some of our family is from England, some of our family is from, well, Ireland, but I suppose only a part of the Irish island is from the UK, and that would be Northern Ireland, but nevertheless, it's that area. But yeah, you know, I think even part of our family is from Scotland. So, you know, I have these ties to the UK from so long ago, but, you know, it's kind of interesting. So I've always been somewhat of an Anglophile in that kind of way. Again, the chat moved and I don't remember where I was. There we go. Alex says more than 60 people are watching as this comment is being posted. That's a new record. Also, your subscribers have grown in numbers as well, relatively fast for your channel. The subscribership has grown very fast. That makes me very happy because a lot of work goes into this channel, and so it's actually really nice to see a large number of people enjoy it. You know, it's kind of like if you bake cookies for a party, and you have, you know, only 3 people show up versus, you know, 15 people show up, and so it's always nice when you bake those cookies, you have the maximum number of people enjoying them. You know, so unless of course you want to hog all the cookies for yourself, but in my little analogy about this channel, I don't just make the videos for the 3 people that always show up to the party. I make it for the entire 15 plus people that show up to the party. My hope is that the party will get bigger and bigger and more people will enjoy the stuff I make for them. So that's kind of always the hope. And so far it's been going really, really well. So, you know, knock on wood, thank God, whoever, it's going really well. Let's see. Moons are. I'm not sure how to answer your question. What if the Queen Mary somehow entered the Great Lakes? I mean, I don't know. I mean, it would have to be like a Noah's Ark kind of thing where like the whole world flooded and everybody got aboard the Queen Mary and it floated and drifted all the way to where the Great Lakes are. I don't know how to answer your question. Um, Chilling in the frozen north. I'll definitely have to look into that. If it's something I think I can do, then I'll probably go ahead and do it because it would be nice to wood panel this area so that way it looks more like an ocean liner. That would be really cool. K4RNA, thank you so much for the donation. I'm going to go light a nice fire in the backyard. We are listening. Thank you. Thank you so much, K4RNA. That's so nice. Paula says, try to make it look like the radio room in the Titanic. Think or what happened to the Queen Mary's sister, Queen Elizabeth, who died in the ignominious way in Hong Kong. I don't know that I want to go for the radio room on Titanic because it was just white. It was just all white, and I don't know. I like the idea that it's like, I don't know, I'm trying to make it look like I'm living in a stateroom aboard the Queen Mary. I like Art Deco liners the most. So I'd like to try to replicate that for this corner here. So I even tried I even tried buying a light fixture that looks like one that was on the Queen Mary, but when I went to go buy it, it wasn't available anymore. So I was like, darn it, I missed my chance. But it was really cool. It looks like a little light fixture that they have on the Queen Mary, and I almost got it and used it. So hopefully it's back in, it'll be back to availability soon. Rena Rosales says Trader Joe's sells the scones. I don't know if they sell British scones, because American scones are different, but if they sell British scones, I might buy them, but every one of them I've seen of British scones here are expensive. Like, I could get them on Amazon, but you're talking like 4 scones for $25. Like, that's too expensive. Like, so if Trader Joe's has British scones and they're for the right price, I'll get them. But yeah, I can't use American scones because they have a different taste, texture, and purpose. So Carter Asher says, did Queen Mary 2 enter New York in 2001 when 9/11 happened? No, Queen Mary 2 didn't go into service until 2004. So it was 3 years later. Viewers also watch the Battleship New Jersey channel. Peter and Harley, that's one I don't know. I don't know if a lot of my viewers watch the Battleship New Jersey channel. Mainly what YouTube tells me is most of my viewers watch ocean liner designs, historic travels, and big old boats. So those are like the 3 main ones. And then like for the Disney content, because I do have some Disney content on the channel, a lot of those viewers watch Adam the Woo. So those are like the 4 main channels that come up when I look at my demographics. And so yeah, I don't know if they watch Battleship New Jersey, but it wouldn't surprise me. Tyler Frederick says, I'm actually living with my best friend now and in the process of finding a more permanent place to live. Alex saved my life, and I'm so grateful for him. I'm really, really, really glad, Tyler, that you're doing much better. I was really worried for you, and I'm glad that, you know, what I was able to do for you has helped you to live a better life. Because it's very important to note that no matter how awful we might feel in any moment, things could change like that. Things could get better all of a sudden. And, you know, I hate the old, you know, platitude, it's always darkest before the dawn, but it's really true. Things tend to be at their worst ebb right before something good happens. And that's at least how it's been for me. So, you know, I've always believed that, you know, even when you feel like something is gone horribly wrong in your life, just wait a little bit longer. Just keep waiting a little bit longer, and you'll see that things will turn around. So, but anyway, yes, I'm really, really glad that you're doing much better, Tyler. Paula says, by the way, you popped up number 2 on my homepage when I logged on, so you might like to know that. YouTube is adjusting algorithms again, maybe. That's good. Yeah, I think my channel has really started to appeal to a lot more people. And that's good, because I want to get more people... Well, I mean, I want to get more people who are already interested in ocean liners and steam trains and steam in general. But it'd be great to have some people who maybe never considered that kind of stuff and all of a sudden like it. You know, there's a few people on this channel who didn't start off as ocean liner fans, but after seeing my content, they're kind of like, hey, this is an interesting topic, you know. So that's kind of my hope there. Pookie Smoochie, I can't answer that question. I don't like to play favorites on YouTube because in the YouTube content creator community, we're all very close, and so it just wouldn't be right to mention my favorite. So, Carter Asher, yes, I did see it on television, but let's try to stick to topics that have to do with the channel. Doc says, Alex, I'm so grateful for your content and your live streams. I have to head out. Have fun watching the coronation and get some rest after that big move. Thank you so much, Doc. I'll see you later. Alex Cease out of Bulgaria says, did the Cunard White Star Line know that Queen Mary and Queen Elizabeth wouldn't be able to pass through the Panama Canal? I mean, later on. That proved to be a big mistake. So they did know. They knew that the ships were really big for certain canals and they wouldn't be able to go through them. But when you really think about it, it didn't matter, because the Queen Mary was built for North Atlantic crossings. She was not built to go through canals. You know, there was never a need for it. So when you think about it in the context of history, the Queen Mary and Queen Elizabeth would have never encountered the Panama Canal or the Suez Canal. So there was no worry about building the ships small enough to fit through them. It wasn't until the ships built up this, you know, unexpected fame. I mean, you know, when ships are, when the ocean liners, any of those ocean liners are built, the companies know that they will attract a certain amount of fame and a certain amount of publicity. But what you don't expect is for a ship like the Queen Mary to go through war and go through all this turmoil and come out ahead and become this beacon, this shining beacon for the world, going like, this ship represents the strength of goodwill and humanity. That's something the builders don't expect. So when the Queen Mary was ready to retire, basically, like, people around the world were like, don't scrap the ship. It is a worldwide treasure. And so that's something that you just don't expect. And so it was decided to save the ship from being scrapped and, and to take the ship to Long Beach. So again, no one could have predicted that the Queen Mary would sail to Long Beach. No one would have predicted that, So you can't really fault the builders or the designers for making the ships too large to fit through the Panama Canal. They just didn't expect it. But that being said, I do believe the Panama Canal was widened in 1969. So if the Queen Mary had just waited a couple more years, she could have fit through the canal. But yeah. Moonzer. Did I know that Queen Elizabeth was originally going to be a hotel and tourist attraction in Philadelphia? I didn't know that. Chris, yeah, I don't know if I'll be getting 2.5 million. You can only expect what the most popular history or ocean liner channels have. The most popular ocean liner channels is probably like Titanic, Honor, and Glory, to be honest. I don't know if I'll ever surpass the amount of subscribers they have. And then the most popular like history channel is probably like This Is History, but even then he covers so much topics that I just don't know if I'll ever get that many subscribers. I would be very lucky if I surpassed 100K subscribers. I'd be very lucky. Paula says, is that the Spruce Goose model you have by your left elbow? I saw that when it was still in Long Beach. Yes, so I bought this little model when I went to visit the Spruce Goose at the Evergreen Aviation and Space Museum in McMinnville, Oregon. I live in Oregon, so it's actually kind of local to me. Oh, it's very dusty. So they sell this in the gift shop, and I saw it, and I'm like, okay, I have to buy that. That's pretty cool. It's not the same scale as the Titanic. This would have to be a little bit bigger to be with the same scale as the Titanic. But yeah, it's a neat little model, and I really like it. One of my favorites. Nicholas says, Dear Alex, after your trip, your next project and maybe even fundraising should be Alex's Cunard themed new coffee shop. That'd be interesting. Now, I do have an idea for a business in the future, but I don't know how well the business would do. But I don't want to reveal the idea because I don't want someone else to take it. But I do have a business idea in mind. I just don't know if I'm the right person to manage that business. I'm a very creative person, but I'm not very good at the management side of the business. When I had my own cafe, I was part of a business partnership, and my business partner, he ran the coffee side of the cafe, and he did all the major management work. And I was the one that, well, first of all, I had a culinary degree, so I was the cook, I was the chef. I had my own team of people that worked under me who did the cooking and stuff like that, just like I did. And I created stuff for the menu. I even designed the interiors of the place, all creative stuff. But when it comes to managing and finances and stuff like that, I'm not good with that. So I would need to find someone who can do that kind of thing. Let's see here. Daniel says, Hey Alex, what were those pipes alongside the Queen Mary's hull during its time as a troop ship in World War II? That was called the degaussing strip. So it's a strip of copper wire that was wound around the ship, and it was given a small electric pulse, which basically neutralized the magnetic field of the ship which allowed the ship to be able to sail near underwater, well, I should say, supposedly sail near underwater mines without setting them off. The thing was that in 1945 or 1944, one of those years, the ship was sailing along the just north of Northern Ireland, and just 300 feet off the starboard side of the ship, a underwater mine exploded. Or I should say there was a huge explosion in the water, and people think it was an underwater mine. And so it makes you kind of wonder, did the degaussing strip actually work if it set off a mine? So a little food for thought. But when you consider, like, what if the coil didn't actually work? How many close calls the Queen Mary could have had over the years that we just don't know about, you know? But yeah, so that was a degaussing strip, and it was removed after the war. All right, let's see. I'm going to refill some of my tea. Dina DeSantis says, would you consider a video or a few about the famous and interesting people who have been on the great ships of the past? I haven't considered that specifically, but what I have considered was making a video about the various celebrities who have sailed aboard the Queen Mary. I've been keeping a collection of photographs of various celebrities who've been on the Queen Mary and making a video about that. But as for celebrities who've been on ocean liners in general, that might be a very long video. We're talking like an hour long, because it depends on how many liners I want to cover and how many of those celebrities, you know. But there would have to be a bigger purpose to the video. It can't just be like number 10, you know, like Bob Hope. It can't be like that. It has to be something more structured that tells a story. And I can do that with the Queen Mary, but I don't know if I can do that with ocean liners in general. Okay. Tyler Frederick says that he thinks my cooking would be better than Julia Child. I don't know about that. Julia Child was a legend. I don't know. It's hard to say. But one thing that Julia Child and I do have in common is our favorite foods are the stuff that is already invented, the stuff that is like traditional dishes and things. And so, yeah, that's probably one of the things I have in common with Julia, because Julia Child didn't really invent any foods, any dishes. She just helped people to perfect them. And that's kind of what I did too. Like, I didn't have the kind of creativity that a lot of chefs have, where they can, like, you know, make some fancy food that sits in a bubble of smoke. Like, I can't do that. Like, I don't have that kind of creativity. But I can perfect a food that people have had a million times and just be like, oh wow, they've never had it this way before, you know. So that's the kind of thing I can do. Chilling and Frozen Orange says, Alex, in the past you've posted a brief tea service and preservation guide in your video descriptions. In the future, could you please keep posting that? No, along with recipes of what you're eating. I'll consider that. The thing is that the description has a very limited amount of words and characters that can fit in it, and I believe I've maxed it out for these tea time streams. But that being said, I'll see if I can do that for the recipes. But otherwise, folks, yeah, there is in the description below is information on how to take care of actual bone china if you own any. Because the reason why is because when I started collecting this Queen Mary bone china, a lot of it was damaged from people who just didn't know that you have to preheat the china before you pour boiling water in the teapot. So I have a second teapot here that has cracks all over it because someone shocked it and shattered it because they didn't know that you can't just pour straight boiling water in it. You have to heat it up first. So so I wrote this whole thing in the description that talks about how to take care of bone china like this, so that way you can avoid that kind of damage. Carter Asher, the Jolly Roger is not a real ship. It's a fictional ship for the Peter Pan story. Chilling says, I'm interested in the cucumber sandwiches in particular. Okay, I'll see if I can put that in the description. This tea is probably cold as heck. It's not that cold, actually. All right, so gosh, there is a lot of like World Trade Center talk in the chat today. My goodness. Ozzy Madero says, did the SS United States have more celebrity than Queen Mary? Or did it have more celebrities than the Queen Mary? That I don't know. I don't know. Yeah. Tyler, no, I didn't know Elizabeth Taylor was in General Hospital. Interesting. You know, I met Elizabeth Taylor once. It was, I want to say it was either late 2009 or early 2010. I was working at Disneyland at the time. I was a busboy cleaning up tables and sweeping up trash and stuff like that. And I had a closing shift that night, so it was very late at night. And I was in Adventureland at a little seating area there that I was taking care of. And I saw this woman being wheeled, and she was in a wheelchair, being wheeled towards the corner where it was kind of dark and away from the main traffic of Adventureland. And she was kind of put there. She was traveling with an older, not older than her, but an old gentleman. And he tells her, okay, I'm going to go get, some drinks and some napkins real quick. And so she kind of just nods and, But this woman I was like, looked at her, I'm like, that looks just like Elizabeth Taylor. And she was dressed very nicely. Like, very, very nicely. And she was in the wheelchair and very frail. Very frail. And kind of hunched over just a little bit, And she had red lipstick, and her hair was the same hairstyle Elizabeth Taylor wore in the last decades of her life. And then the thing that made me realize it was her was the sheer amount of diamonds. Like, she wore diamonds on her rings, and she had this huge necklace of diamonds and stuff like that. And I suspect that that's why he kind of wheeled her into the corner, was because people would recognize her. But I remember I was just kind of like looking, like I didn't mean to stare, but I was just kind of looking because I was like, that is Elizabeth Taylor. I'm absolutely sure of it, And she kind of like looks up she's kind of hunched over, so she looks up and she sees me, and I was just kind of like, hi. and she smiled and she kind of nodded, like kind of like the nod that, the look and the nod that said, yeah, I'm her, and she kind of like, and so That was pretty cool. That night when I went home, I immediately Googled an image of Elizabeth Taylor just to make sure, and it was her. It was her. It was really, really neat, and yeah, but nobody really recognized her because even though she was dressed very nicely, nobody recognized her. But it shouldn't come as a shock to hear that Elizabeth Taylor was at Disneyland, because if anybody that knows anything about Elizabeth Taylor knows that she loved Disneyland. She visited Disneyland every year, pretty much, of her life. She took her children there all the time in the 60s and early 70s. And then even as she would go there with her husband or whatever, So she was a Disneyland fan till the end of her life, when she couldn't travel outside of her home anymore. And she died in 2011, I believe it was. So I got to see her just before her death. That was pretty neat. That was pretty neat. Yeah. Let's see. John Hill says, "Hey Alex, have you ever thought about making a video about Queen Mary's conversion in Long Beach?" I have, yeah, I have thought about it. It's not on the front burner right now, but it is certainly one of the videos I plan to make in the future. Hookie Snoochie says, "Since your friend took footage of the Queen Mary for you, when could we expect to see that footage?" So, you won't be able to see all of it all at once. He took very random footage that I asked him to take, so for like specific videos. So, like, there's footage of the windows and stuff like that I plan to use for a certain video. And it would be really weird if I included that footage of the windows in with, like, let's say a tour video, because it would be so random. Like, he's just like panning around these windows for quite a while, and it would just be kind of... So, I can use them for multiple videos, but some of them are designed for very specific videos. But I need him to go back in June to get more footage of more areas of the ship that should be hopefully open by then. And I plan to, if I have enough of that footage when he visits next time, then I plan to redo the virtual tour that I have. That, if you don't know, if you're new to the channel, I have a virtual tour of the RMS Queen Mary that I filmed in January of 2020. It's really cool. It's all narrated, like voice narrated by me, and it talks about like the history of the ship and the purpose of the various rooms on the ship. Again, really neat. Check it out. It's on the main page of my channel. If you just scroll down to, I think it's the Queen Mary docu-series playlist. It's the second video, I think, on that list. And it's really neat. But I'm going to redo it with new updated footage done with his much better camera than mine. And he got some amazing footage. But you will see it, yeah, you will see it. It's just, it'll be in different videos. Let's see. Dino DeSantis says, "Would you consider a video about menus on liners changing over time?" I will definitely consider it, but I don't know that it would be that interesting, because I did notice that I've seen a few menus of Queen Mary, and it looked like menus of Titanic sometimes. It was the same stuff. Like, I actually saw a menu of the Queen Mary where they had, like, lamb with mint sauce. Like, it was just what people ate. Like, a lot of the stuff that was served on the Queen Mary was the same stuff they served 24 years earlier on the Titanic. So I don't think the food really changed all that much in a certain span of time. It would have to be like, what they served on the SS Great Western versus, the SS United States. It would have to be like a major difference. But yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot Angela Lansbury passed away. That is so sad. Arena says, wow, so cool you got to see Elizabeth Taylor. I get starstruck when I see a celebrity. Well, most of the time. You know, I've been really lucky during my years at Disneyland, meeting and seeing lots of celebrities. Um, you know, especially when I worked in the tour department, when I was a guest relations tour guide and VIP host. I met a lot of celebrities. And then even afterwards, like, you know, just, well, who have I talked to recently? Well, probably best not to mention names right now because I'm still in the process. But nevertheless, I've also been involved in projects that involved some celebrity, you know, assistance, you know. I don't know the word. You know, like I'm working on a Yarrow project video with my friend Steve Jablonski and his friend Robin Jacobs. You know, they were the two original people that came up with the Yarrow project for the Queen Mary, and they had brought in Academy Award-winning actor Ernest Borgnine to voice the narration for a video presentation of the Yarrow project. They never got to finish the video, so it was never actually, like, turned into a video production, and I'm working on that. I'm working on something that an Academy Award-winning actor narrated. That's pretty cool. And then when I worked for QMI Restore the Queen, when I was volunteering as the public relations director for QMI Restore the Queen, you know, we had celebrities lined up for doing like cameos, so we would get them to go on Cameo, and we would ask them to tell us their Queen Mary story. One of the first people to do that was the recently deceased Jerry Springer. So 8 months ago, Jerry Springer went and did a cameo for us, and he told us about his Queen Mary story, because he came to the United States aboard the Queen Mary with his family when he was just a little kid. They were fleeing Germany, and so he kind of told us his story. And if you want, you can see that video if you go to the QMI Restore the Queen YouTube channel. Then on their list of videos, you'll see the Jerry Springer video, and it's only 2 minutes long, and he kind of shares his story about coming to the U.S. aboard the Queen Mary. So that's pretty neat. So, you know, and then we were lining up an interview with, gosh, I'm sorry, her name escapes my memory, but she did the song Downtown, you know, downtown, things will be great when you're downtown, everything, you know. So that song, the singer that created that song, we were gonna have her lined up to do an interview with us. I think she just had a really busy schedule, because she still does I think like stage musicals, I think. So she was just very busy. But yeah, I mean, it's really neat. Like I still get to be, you know, somewhat involved with celebrities even to this day. Ozzy says, awesome plane next to Queen Mary. Yep, that's a model of the H4 Hercules, also known as the Spruce Goose. Carter says, Queen Mary funnels and Titanic funnels are the same color in color. In real life, they weren't. Titanic's funnels in real life was kind of what they called a white starline buff, while Queen Mary's was Cunard orange. So they was very different colors. But unfortunately, this model, like I said, I painted it and built it in 2012. I didn't know what Titanic really looked like back then, so I just went by some old like artwork that I had, and the artwork apparently was not accurate, so I painted it according to the inaccurate artwork, and it's not the real color it should look. So Alfreda says, I went with my brother to Long Beach and saw the Queen Mary, and she is huge. Yes, you know, I get too many people that go, oh, the Queen Mary looks small next to these to these cruise ships, and it's like, yeah, but that's only because the cruise ships, first of all, don't sit as low in the water as the Queen Mary does. Like, the Queen Mary, below the water line, is 40 feet under. It's like, there is 40 feet of ship under the water, whereas a cruise ship has like 18, 24 feet under the water. Not very much. And then above the water, the cruise ships have all these levels of rooms and stuff like that. It's, it's just not the same. Like the Queen, well, they're pointing to Titanic, but the Queen Mary has like levels and levels and levels of staterooms and public spaces, and just it's just amazing. The ship really is fantastic, and as big as those cruise ships can get, the Queen Mary was designed to handle rougher seas and rougher weather than those cruise ships would ever have to handle. So, pretty neat. Paula says, I know all around the Queen Mary they have big posters of the celebrities walking on the decks. I love the very Art Deco bar. They were shooting a TV show on the Easter weekend. I stayed there with my family. That's pretty neat. Yeah, they do a lot of filming on the Queen Mary, and that filming actually helps pay for the ship's expenses. So it's actually very neat. Even in all through 2022, while the ship was closed, to the general public, they still did filming aboard the ship and earned about $1 million of fees from all the filming. And that $1 million was taken and put right back into the ship for helping its repairs and refurbishments. But what's really neat about that Art Deco bar you were talking about, that's called the Observation Bar, and it's at the very front of the superstructure of the Queen Mary. And what's neat was it was originally designed for the first class passengers, but towards the 1960s, when third class travelers were really traveling more for leisure, and by the 1960s, if you were traveling third class on a ship, you expected higher quality than what you would have expected in the 1930s. So they actually had to give away some of the first class spaces to the third class passengers. And one of those spaces was the observation bar. So I want to say it was 1962 or 1963, the observation bar became a third class only area. And it's a pretty neat story in itself. So if you can just imagine, but they ended up creating a separate bar for first class passengers on the port side promenade. And it no longer exists today, but it was, what was it called? It was just called, was it the Mermaid Bar? Because the Mermaid Bar was for second class, I think. Yeah, Mermaid Bar was for second class, but there was a first class bar, and I don't remember what it was called, but it was located on the promenade, port side, and it was for first class passengers only. And it was just, it looked nice, but definitely makeshift for sure. So, Petula Clark, thank you, Ozzy. Yes, Petula Clark was the one that sang Downtown, and she was the one that we were having lined up to do an interview with us to talk about her Queen Mary story. Because if you guys don't know, when the RMS Queen Mary came to Long Beach, she sat there for a couple of years before they finally started to take her to dry dock. And it was 1969, Petula Clark did a special aboard the Queen Mary, and she actually walked. The Queen Mary had no power to her because she hadn't yet been converted to a hotel, and she still had her original ocean liner electrical system, which was steam operated, and they didn't have any of the steam running. So the ship was dark, and the cameramen who went in there to film Petula Clark walking around the ship had to do it with flashlights. And so there's actually, so you can look it up on YouTube. It's called Petula Clark, I think it's called Afternoon with a Queen or something like that, and it's features her aboard the Queen Mary, and she sings some of her famous songs from back then. Pretty cool. Rena says, I went to a Mindy Kaling book signing. Does that count as a celebrity signing? Kinda. Donald Jen says midships bar. I don't know if it's the midships bar because I'm thinking the midships bar was the one that was in the long gallery, because the long gallery eventually added a bar to it, and so I'm pretty sure the midships bar was the one in the long gallery, which is on Promenade Deck, so I'll give you that credit. It's on Promenade Deck, but there was one on the actual Promenade, and they might have renamed that midships bar. So who knows? Maybe it had the same name as the one in the long gallery. I don't know. I would have to get like all my information open, but my computer's on the other side of the room, so but yeah. Pause. When you're alone and life is making you lonely, you can always go downtown. That is a very it's a very catchy song for sure. Chilling in the Frozen North says, "Gotta go, Alex. It's a pleasure as always. One thing I'd suggest to you and everyone else, try making your own mayonnaise. I made it, tasted it, and thought I'd died and gone to culinary heaven." Yes, I've made mayonnaise several times. In culinary school, it was one of the things you had to know by memory in order to pass your tests. So we had to be able to prove that we could make a really good mayonnaise. And yeah, pretty neat. I can also make hollandaise from memory. I can make mayonnaise from memory. I can make bread from memory. There's a few things that when you passed your culinary school exams, you had to know certain recipes by memory. It was like something that every chef should know basically how to do. And so yeah, that was one of them. Mayonnaise, hollandaise, bread, and something else. I think it was puff pastry was one of the ones I had to know from scratch, was puff pastry. Yeah. Anywho, it is 6:01, folks. I'm gonna end the live stream because it's been 2 hours, and frankly, I gotta figure out what we're gonna do for dinner. I've got more packing to undo. You know, there is boxes upon boxes behind the camera that all have to be unpacked and everything. And next time we do this tea time live stream, let me check when that will be. It'll probably be a week from now, because I won't have Sunday available. I usually do these on Wednesdays and Sundays. And I don't think I have Sunday available. So, yeah, I don't have Sunday. So let me see. Where is it? Okay, I can do it on Wednesday the 10th. So exactly 1 week from now, I can do tea time on Wednesday the 10th. And by then, the decorations behind me will be completed, and there'll be a cool little video and stuff in the left instead of a slideshow. And then, yeah, it'll look more like an ocean liner in the background, I think. But yeah, so I guess I will see you guys all on May 10th. But yeah, thank you guys all for joining me. I really missed doing these live streams. I know it's only been a week, but I missed it a lot. So anyway, folks, thank you all for joining me, and I will see you all next time. Bye-bye.